Holy freaking injury news. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and the Silver and Black, they're going to have a tall task this week if they want to get a win against the Browns. They are without many, and I mean many players, and I know Cleveland's pretty banged up too, but not having Davante Adams and Maxx Crosby, I'm telling you this right now, I'm a little bit sick to my stomach hearing this news. So coming up here on today's show, we're going to go through the entire Raiders injury report. The Browns are also super banged up, but I'm going to talk about which players I'm going to look to step up and, fill in some of these shoes that the Silver and Black are not going to have out there. I mean, the big glaring news is the first one right off the top. Maxx Crosby not going to be playing in this one. He's missing his very first game of his NFL career with a high ankle sprain. And bottom line, you're not going to be able to replace Max. There's not a single player in the NFL that you're going to be able to go out there, plug and play, and that's going to help you save Maxx Crosby, the identity of this Raiders defense. And this one is a huge, huge gut punch. If you guys can spam 98 down below to show Mad Max some love, I know that he's super devastated that he's not going to be able to play in this one. I mean, this is a dude that literally played through a knee injury last season that could have killed him. So this high ankle sprain, it's legit, no doubt about it. And, when you look at some high ankle sprains, they can take 3 to 6 weeks. And I know he's a dog, and I know that he wants to go out there, but you also have to look at it from the longevity of his career, because sometimes, if you go out there with a high ankle sprain, it can lead to other crazy injuries, whether it's, soft tissue, maybe it's a knee because you're trying to not put so much pressure on that foot. But holy shit, man, this one is, I'm sure you guys can tell, I'm flipping devastated right now. If you want more updates around the Raiders, make sure you click that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications. I was literally just getting ready to go take a Chuck outside, and everything started literally just pouring in around Antonio Pierce with all these injury news. But I keep you guys up to date, even if I'm at home, even, on my off day. When you see news like this, I hope that the first thing that comes to your mind is what is Mitch going to say about this? In terms of players that you got to think about stepping up for Crosby, you're going to look at Tyree Wilson, and this is probably the biggest game of Wilson's career. The fact that Malcolm Kuntz isn't going to be in this one, he's out for the year. Maxx Crosby is going to be out. So Tyree Wilson's really got to step it up, but then that also means Christian Wilkins. And I know Wilkins doesn't play defensive end, but the Raiders went out, they gave him that huge contract this offseason. He's got to have a game of his life as well. Adam Butler going to be looking at you. John Jenkins going to be looking at you. A few other players from the edge side, what about a Charles Snowden? Are we going to see a little bit more from Kayvon Chasen? If you're a Raiders edge rusher, you need to bring your freaking A game, man. You're going up against the Cleveland Browns, a team that's given up the most sacks in the NFL this season with 16. That was at least before last night, but I'm still pretty confident they're still the team that's given up the most sacks. But then also the Raiders have one of the highest, unsuccessful blitz rates in the NFL. They blitz right now 4th highest in the NFL at somewhere around 38%. And their pressure rate is at about 20, which is the worst in the NFL. And that was with Max. So they need to get some guys to step up. We'll see what ends up happening here, but man, oh man, I do not like that one at all. The other big injury news then, again, is Davante Adams. He popped up on that injury report on Thursday with a hamstring, and a lot of times when you see a hammy, especially for a player who's getting up there in age a little bit later on in the week, you do get nervous. I know I was definitely nervous about it. I did not think that it was going to end up being an injury where he was going to end up missed time, but that one sucks, dude. You don't have your top receiver now going up against Cleveland, who, you're going to look for Jacoby Myers to step it up. You're going to look for Trey Tucker. They got to bring their A game. Brock Bowers is going to be the go-to target for Gardner Minshew. But, this is an offense that's got to get right. And Luke Getsy's got to be able to get this thing going. What makes me nervous not having Davante out there is, are they going to try to run the football more? And, I know Getsy said that he doesn't feel like they're running just to run, but they are running the football just to run the football recently. So you're without Max, you're without Davante Adams. You're starting right tackle Thayer Munford. He's not going to be playing in this one with a knee injury. Also, an ankle. DJ Glaze is going to go in. He's going to get the start there at right tackle. And, I have confidence in Glaze. I think he's a good young player. He's shown that he's able to step in and do his job at a high level, or at least a high level for what you expect out of a third-round rookie. But he's going to get a tough test in Myles Garrett. He's going to get a tough test in that Browns team. I know that team's not playing as well as what a lot of people thought, myself included, but that's still a pretty damn good football team. When healthy, that defense can still fly around the football, and when you got Myles Garrett across from you, it's going to be a pretty damn good test here. for DJ Glaze. So you're without Thayer Munford. So that tells me now, I think your offensive line, and it has to be, in my opinion, you have to start Jackson Powers-Johnson. You have to start Dylan Parham. DJ Glaze is going to be on the right side. The offensive line that I'm going to guess that they're going to go with, and at least I pray to the heavens that they're smart enough to do this, is Colton Miller. I then would go with Jackson Powers-Johnson, Andre James. Then I'm going to end up putting Dylan Parham at right guard. Right tackle is Thayer Munford. Now, you can maybe mix that and match. I know some people want Andre James benched. Maybe you could put JPJ at center. Maybe you could put Dylan Parham at center. But what I do know is you got to have Colton Miller. You got to have JPJ. You got to have DJ Glaze out there. You got to have Dylan Parham. Outside of that, we can mix and match any way that we want. More injury news here. I still got 3 really big ones to get into. Divine Deablo, he's not going to be playing. The Raiders starting linebacker, he did miss last week. Luke Masterson did a good job filling his role, but now you're going to be looking at, I think Tommy Eichenberg's going to have to step it up. Amari Gaynor, this could be a really interesting game for the UDFA out of North Carolina to potentially get some good reps because Marcus Epps, he's not going to be playing in this game. He's out for the entire season. The amount of starters that the Silver and Black are going to be without is freaking unbelievable, man. So Divine Deablo, he's out. At tight end, Michael Mayer, he's out for personal reasons. And, I don't know what the personal reasons are. You always hope that everything's going okay with him, health-wise. Everything's going okay with his family. But personal, that's a tough one. And it's tough because this is the game where we need him. But then also, maybe he's needed somewhere else a little bit more. So not having Michael Mayer, though, that's where it's all right, now Harrison Bryant's got to be leaned on a little bit more. Brock Bowers, he's really going to be leaned on a lot. Your top target getters are going to have to be Trey Tucker, Jacoby, and Brock Bowers. You got to see how they're mixing and matching. I said one of the things that I would like to see the Raiders do this week is use their tight ends potentially as a little bit more of H-backs to help out that offensive line. Also line them up as a fullback. You can then split them out wide, kind of like what the Niners do with Kyle Juszczyk a lot. But it creates a little bit more confusion and it helps out that line. It can also help out your running back know where exactly he needs to kind of be able to follow, which is something that Zamir White needs. And then the rookie Decamerion Richardson, he hasn't been able to play all season with a hammy, and they are hoping that he can get back sooner rather than later. It's a player that they were really going to count on, especially in special teams, kickoff returns, punt returns. It's kind of like his bread and butter right now at this time of his career. You're hoping that he's going to be more than that, drafting him in the 4th round, but time's going to tell. But that good of an athlete, they wanted to use him on special teams. So one more time here, the Raiders are going to be without Davante Adams, Maxx Crosby, Thayer Munford, Divine Deablo, Michael Mayer, Decamerion Richardson will all miss that game against Cleveland. Obviously, you don't have Malcolm Kuntz. Obviously, you don't have Marcus Epps. And, I just mentioned a lot of names there for the Silver and Black. The Browns, I think, have twice as many injuries as what we do. The injuries are starting to pile up, and I'm going to say this because I've said this point before on the Raiders Report, and I know that sometimes in the offseason, players are really afraid of injuries, and they want to get that bag, they want to get that check, and they're just afraid of an injury happening in May, June, July, and August. But I've been covering the NFL for a long time, and the amount of injuries that have been happening this season alone. Now, some injuries you can't help, right? Some injuries are just the unfortunate things happen. And I'm not saying this to Max, but I am saying this in a general over landscaping thing of the NFL. I think more injuries are happening because guys are afraid to practice the way that you're supposed to practice during the offseason. Then comes game time. There's a big difference between being game shape ready and being in really, really good shape. You need to be in really good shape to be able to get through practice May through August. You need to be in an even better shape and in game shape come the season because, the amount of injuries across the NFL right now, it is at such an alarmingly staggering number. It really, really, truly is. So the next time that y'all are going to see me, I hope I'm a lot happier of a camper on Sunday when the Raiders end up playing the Cleveland Browns. I got to give a shout out to all the real ones that tuned into our live Thursday night show yesterday. Chugs and I had to wear some Teletubby costumes. We ended up walking to a bar here in Dallas. We got 2 drinks. I sucked down some Dos Equis. Man, it was, we got a lot of weird looks. But I think at the end of the day, that's what Thursday Night Football is all about. Some laughs, some smiles. And I know that today's video was a big kick in the nuts. A huge kick in the nuts for me. I'll tell you that right now. But when people tune into the show, I hope that you guys have a good time. I hope that you guys have a good time when you tune in on Sunday. We're going to be going live at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Kickoff is at 4:25. And if you've seen, this game is getting blocked out in a lot of areas across the United States, which, maybe I'm not totally surprised. The other game is the Chiefs and the Chargers, which are two better teams right now. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you click that like button. We got to keep the good vibes going for the Raiders up against the Browns. Again, massive injury news here. Sick to my stomach not having Maxx or Davante Adams out there on the field. For more videos here around the Silver and Black, make sure you click that subscribe button right here. And then if you're looking for even more content, YouTube suggests that you watch these videos over here. If you like this show, I'll also say this. The way that this show usually looks is a lot different than what it looks right now. You can also check out some of the other content that I've made probably in the last week or so here at the Raider Sports. Check out these videos or click that subscribe button.